Good afternoon and welcome to Wild Moments, powered by explore.org and brought to you by Africam, where we look at the highlights from the live cameras situated throughout Southern Africa from the week. We are joined by the magnificent Trishala Naidu, who is currently enjoying what passes for a spring in Cape Town. Trishala, please describe the weather outside your window currently.
Currently, hi everyone. Firstly, it is overcast. It is about 14 degrees Celsius. The air is chilly, and I would not be able to survive if it weren't for my blanket and my heater.
Right.
That sums it up.
So that's in the Fair Cape, is it? Allow me to describe the weather outside my window. Clear skies, 19 degrees plus minus, flowers starting to bloom, subtle smell of jasmine, and yesterday and today and tomorrow in the air, the gentle call of weaver birds about to get on with the serious business of mating outside. So, there are some advantages of living in the crime capital of South Africa. Very few, but the weather is one. Good. Excellent. No criminals outside the window, so I think we shall proceed with the show. Please do ask us any questions that you'd like to during the course of the show. You can do that on whatever platform you happen to be watching, and we'd love to hear from you. Any questions or comments, insults, general sort of banter, much appreciated. Andy, you want to know, is James home or still in the Masai Mara? Let me show you.
So in the Masai Mara, then?
That is not a view of the Masai Mara, sadly. I mean, I wish it was, but it isn't. There's a small child knocking about outside, as opposed to 300,000 or 400,000 wildebeest. Hello, Geert from the Netherlands. You say good day for everyone. Do we say Geert in the Netherlands, or do we say Geert? Geert? I don't know. Tammy, hello. You're Diana, good morning. James and Trishal from Seattle. You're sipping coffee. Good. Rolling Trouble. Yes, you are very loyal, Rolling Trouble. Hello. Nice to see you. Laura MC, repping Texas here. Good luck with repping Texas. I assume you mean representing, do you? Good. Amber CEO, happy Thursday. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity. I always learn something new. We'll do our level best to teach you something new over the course of the show. Okay, we haven't seen these clips. We're going to go to our first clip now. Now this is the great Lioness F70. And I can see why the viewers are suspicious that she may have given birth once more.
Yes, she is looking quite heavy. Her undercarriage is looking quite heavy and loose. It's that milky look, the milky look.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible she's just about to give birth there, but she's so heavy around the belly.
Yeah. But it's that kind of liquidy heavy, you know?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. The milk pouches. Okay. So, for those of you who think she has given birth, I would say that I would agree with you. And there are her two other offspring, Astarte and Greedy.
I call her Astarte.
Yeah, I think you're probably correct. Astarte and Greedy. And, Astarte has decided that she hasn't had a milkshake for some time and thinks it'd be a rather good idea to have one now. And now sensing what smell there is there. And now smashing her mother on the head. That's hilarious.
That is.
Look at this.
Oh, that must be something. Oh.
I know. It's very playful, though.
It is.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, there's a bit of both.
Do you think she's trying to suckle there, or do you think that she can smell cubs and
I
is trying to
think that,
sniff what's going on?
yeah, she's also phlegm and grimacing a little bit.
Yeah,
So she's obviously picking up on the scent of something. Maybe
yeah,
she's used to, because it's just the three of them, right? They're not part of a pride.
yeah. No, it's just the
So
three of them.
maybe, yeah, maybe it's an unfamiliar smell, and it's only as familiar to her as a cub. So she's, oh, she's
Oh,
doing the same now.
yeah. That's very interesting. Now, I mean, if she hasn't given birth, and I got to tell you from that shot there,
Mm.
there isn't that really obvious dark patch around the nipples, which makes me
Yes.
think possibly she hasn't given birth, but I don't know. But whatever the case, I suppose the hormones that she'll be producing will be vastly different from those she was producing a couple of weeks ago, if she's just about to give birth or if she has given birth. And that, no doubt, smells very unfamiliar to the sensitive noses and vomeronasal organs of her previous litter.
Exactly. And also maybe it's something that they've only recognized from being from when they were young. So it's sort of familiar,
Yeah,
but it's been a long
yeah.
time. But
Mm,
certainly the male greedy was a lot more calm in approaching his mother's nipple than
yes.
Astarte.
Yes, she was. She was quite, actually quite awkward. Frankly, she was quite awkward about it. Yeah, I mean, one is minded of that rather amusing yet horrendous British show, Little Britain, I think it was, where the adult, the adult male was asking for bitty, basically meaning he wanted to suckle. For those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, go and have a look. It's quite funny if you're into that sort of thing, and a little bit like a starty there. I think there's also the other possibility is that there is the smell of other lions on her now. She smells like
Mm.
cubs,
Yeah,
and they'll be quite excited, no doubt, to meet their offspring. And it surely can't be too long before young Greedy is sent packing by the males of the area. It'll be interesting to
yeah.
know how long he lasts because he's now, I mean, I don't know his age, but I'm going to guess around about 3.5. He looks to me.
Um,
So
I think he was estimated, or Kirst told me, around Jan of 2020.
January
So
2020. So only two
yeah,
and a half.
yeah,
Okay. Oh, he's quite big for 2.5. Maybe because he's
yeah, he
able
is.
to, possibly because he's able to eat so much because he's in a slightly more contained environment than a Kruger lion. He looks quite big. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Let's take a couple of comments. Uh, Aussie Jan 2. Could it be suspected that F70 has grown a primordial pouch along her underbelly, which gives the appearance she is perhaps pregnant over a long period of 5 months and having 3 litters? I'm going to read that again because I understood about 10% of it. Could it be suspected that F70 has grown a primordial pouch? I don't know what that is. Trishala is going to pretend she does, and if or she probably does. Do you
I,
know what that is?
yes, it's something you see with house cats quite a lot. But
Yes,
it's
is that what I meant? Okay.
yeah,
So
you know
that
what it
floppy
is.
bit, yeah, that
Yeah.
Ruby the cat next door has exactly that. Okay, along her underbelly, which gives the appearance she is perhaps pregnant over a long period of 5 months and having 3 litters. Uh, I don't think so, Aussie Jan. I've never seen a lion with a primordial pouch like the ones on a house cat. I've definitely seen them saggier under the belly as older lionesses, but no, I've never seen a kind of heavy pouch like that. That's definitely, to my mind, evidence of either a new set of cubs, or either in utero or recently ex utero. Would you agree, Trish?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see what Ozjan is thinking with the
Yeah, yeah,
shape, but
for sure.
I agree. For me this is a lion. For me this looks like she has given birth and that's milk
Yeah,
that she's holding.
Okay.
But also we have to keep in mind that Aussie Jan didn't mention that she had a coffee, which she normally does mention. So it could
Yes.
be that Aussie Jan still needs to have a coffee.
Yeah. Okay. Aussie Jan, go have your coffee. Laura MC, James and Trishala, can you speak to the actual process of sending the males away from the pride? We saw Greedy alone twice this week and was wondering if the process of releasing or booting him out has started. Or does the process happen all at once, on the same day? Or since it's just the three of them, will he always stay with Mom and Astarte? Laura MC, the process, according to the textbooks, bearing in mind that animals are notoriously lackadaisical when it comes to reading textbooks, like many of the people I've trained, in fact. Normally, the process would go something like this. When they are around about 2.5 to 3 years old, they'll hit puberty and they will start behaving in a manner which indicates sexual maturity. So they'll try and mate with estrus females. They may even start marking a bit of territory. This will alert the attentions of the dominant males, which are normally their fathers or uncles, or their father and uncles, and they will then start to become less and less tolerant of the young males until it gets to a point that the young males are chased out by the males. If the males are not there anymore, say they've been killed or they've moved off for some reason, then yes, it's possible that the male will stay with the pride, but he will then start behaving like a dominant male in that pride. He'll start mating with his sister and with his mother, which is okay in lion society. They don't have any taboos against such things. And it's okay for 3 or so generations before any deficiencies or what's the word I'm searching for, Trishala? Any deformities might appear.
Oh.
So that's the normal process. But, it can happen in various ways, but it does depend largely on the presence of the big males in the area. And we have seen them around, but if there's a territorial takeover or something like that, it might be quite quick. So if his father has been killed, let's say, by some incoming marauding males, they'll take one look at Greedy and chase him off, or he'll die. So it can be quite sudden, but normally it's the process I've just outlined. Trishala, would you like to add anything to what I have just said?
No, I think you covered it pretty comprehensively. What I will say though is that considering that they are not part of a pride, it's not something that I've seen before. So I've seen younger males being pushed out of a pride, and it happens in exactly the way that you had outlined. They all kind of behave differently. It's a tolerance thing. But with the 3 of them, and without the pressure of the dominant males at least interacting with them, I haven't seen at least a clip where they're interacting. I'm not sure whether it would how long it would take. Maybe he'd stay for longer. Maybe there's some other influences. So it'll be really interesting to figure out or to watch when he actually gets moves off, and whether we see any behaviors that indicate that he's getting pushed away.
Yeah. I mean, Tembe is a fenced reserve, so, it's not like the Kruger or the Mara or, the Okavango area where you can have this influx of males from somewhere else that they don't know about. And, so it'd be quite easy if you knew what lions there were at Tembe. It would be relatively easy to predict what was going to happen. So as Trish says, it could be that there aren't any new males and he may well hang with the pride for a while. It's always on these fenced reserves you can have some very interesting dynamics that really are not textbook in any way. Astarte was also trying to nurse next time we saw them as well. Okay, Tris Vsop, thank you for that. That's very interesting. So she's continued to try that strange behavior. Anna, what is the most amount of cub litters that you know of that have stayed with their mother? Anna, all cubs, female cubs, will stay with their mothers if they survive. So, I don't know what the answer to that question is, as many as they have had. It's quite an interesting question because when you look at lion prides and you do spend a lot of time with the same lion prides, it's very seldom happens that there isn't some kind of catastrophe at some point over, say, a 5-year period, during which there will be a loss, there will be an attrition, either through disease or through death or something, disease or an invading male takeover or something like that. So yeah, it's a quite interesting question. I'm not sure. Trish, I mean, you haven't read anything about that, have you?
No. I mean, it's a difficult thing to realize. It's such or to read about. It's a very general.
Yeah.
It's different everywhere you go, depending on the circumstance. So it's a difficult one to answer.
Yeah. Mary J, you want to know if the white lion at Ngala has been kicked out of his pride yet? Mary, I don't know. He and his 3, I don't know if they're brothers or cousins, were on their way to being thrown out when I was there last in May. May I was there. And they were on their way to being thrown out. So, yeah, it's going to happen fairly soon. Lisa White, you say, wasn't Greedy already sent away once? Apparently he has been chased by M179 a few times, so that's probably his father or uncle. But, there's not really a huge amount of space for him to go in Tembe. Right. Kay, Slowly Sly, you say hello, 2 of my favorite guys and educators. Well, thank you, Kay.
Oh, thank you.
Mindy Tillapaw, every time I see a chameleon, I think of you, Trish.
Oh, thank you. I'm yet to see a dwarf chameleon.
Okay, we'll go and look. Not now.
I have been looking.
And then somebody called No Name says, where would the new cubs be? They would most likely be hidden in a den, which in that area is probably a termite mound or a overhang cliff cave type thing, or deep in a very thick drainage line with lots of bushes over it. So some kind of covered area. Right, I think we must move on to the next clip. We've nearly run out of time and we've only done one. Here, the genet creeps stealthily across the night. In the background, the call of the fiery-necked nightjar. What is going to happen here? The genet is foraging for small rodents, nestling birds, eggs, reptiles. I didn't see that because my face was over the top of the lioness. I see now what we're looking at. That's Astarte, I think. And she's she's looking at the genet, who is now walking towards the lioness. So a depressed genet, possibly suicidal. Definitely see. Oh, no, there we go. All right. So knew something was there, but wasn't quite sure what it was. That's great.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, I missed all of that because the picture that I'm looking at has my face basically bang over the lioness. So I had no idea that she was there. Can we watch that again from the beginning, please?
You can also make your face smaller, James.
I've now moved my face. Can I make it smaller?
You can. You can just drag it.
There we go. Oh, yes, there we go. Thank you. Right, so now we've got the lioness. She is watching the genet. The genet seems to be suspicious that there is something there, but is not quite sure. Because remember that from this perspective, she's the same height as the grass, really. And the lioness is watching with great interest. Lions and leopards specifically actually will eat other predators. It's mainly leopards, but I don't think that this lion would turn her nose up necessarily if she managed to catch the little genet, but she's never going to stalk it and make a huge effort about it. This is wonderful here. Oh. Yes, I can just imagine the invective that came out of the little genet's mouth as she saw the lion and took off. Well, that's just quite fun, isn't it?
It's one of my favorite things when we get to watch like these unlikely species coming together. Just they seem so curious about each other, but also so cautious. Even though you're looking at a lion, you think is this fierce animal. So cool.
Yeah. And again, I mean, again, she's not going to try and stalk that genet. She's not going to give chase for any length of time. It's just, if she comes near me, I'll probably bite her to death and maybe eat her, but possibly not. And I guess the only other thing that comes to mind there is the thought of how that instinctual, that chasing instinct is, as opposed to it being, without it being necessarily connected to hunger. Mm-hmm. It's cat chasing the ball of twine kind of vibe. Or in this case, a genet. Good. All right, let's move on to the next one. That was very nice. Oh, this is a sad tale of murder, misspiral. Oh, it's not the clip I thought it was. Brown, good grief, 3 of them. That's very special. Things giving these werewolves a fright. The anger being,
those the eggshells, or what appear to be eggshells.
Do you think they are eggshells, or do you think they're stones?
Oh, I mean, now that you said stones, I'm not as convinced.
What they're so nervous of? Maybe there's some noise from the lodge. But the lapwings are very upset. There comes the lapwing now. So possibly it was eggs being devoured. I mean, these idiots are in their efforts to get away.
They look,
Oh, hello. What's going on there? Well. Not much. And a little shell comes in from the back.
Little jackal.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, when these brown hyena first came in, they looked so nervous. They were clumsy.
Yeah. And then they were mating or trying to, or having a date of some description. I don't know enough about brown hyenas, and I haven't spent enough time with them. Can we go back to the clip if you don't mind? For me to be able to say, well, that's a young one, that's an old one. You know, their social dynamics are still pretty confusing. They do have a hierarchy. Something there is making them pretty nervous. So there's a hierarchy in the clan, and the clan is very loosely associated. It's not associated in the same way that a spotted hyena clan is associated. So you won't find them together all the time at all, and they will forage alone a lot of the time, especially in drier areas. I mean, I've got maybe the bird keeps flying in and giving them a fright, but I haven't seen that happen.
And
it definitely is upset. Yeah.
The initial fright that we saw, we had the bird in the shot and it was not moving.
Yeah. So it's definitely upset enough to perhaps be indicating that there is a nest around, and if they haven't found it, they're certainly perhaps looking for it.
Could there be chicks? I mean, look at that one. It's tripping.
I know. In its efforts to escape. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how often we see brown hyenas at Tau here. And here's this sort of strange mating, but it might not be mating. It could easily be sort of dominance playing. Gigi says, could this be cubs and a mother? Yeah, no, it could be. It could be cubs and a mother. Sub-adult cubs and a mother. And maybe a young brother who's, nearing his time of departure. And apparently, these brown hyenas are seen quite often. It's quite funny watching my wife type that because she keeps writing quiet instead of quiet. That's an aside. Yeah, so I think that's a good thought, Kiki. That it could easily be a mother and two cubs. And I mean, I think those animals are fascinating, but we still know very little about them. And it's because they are seen so seldom. And I guess that these cameras are a fantastic way of catching them in an area like Tau and observing them for an extended period.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the benefit of having the cams. We've spoken about this before, that just our presence, whether we're disturbing the animal or not, is a presence nonetheless. And with the cams, we don't have that. So it's a proper insight into these animals' lives.
And Lisa, you're saying could that have been a dominance display? Yes, it could have been. They can get quite violent, these dominance displays with brown hyenas. And that wonderful book, Cry of the Kalahari, describes in great detail how the dominance hierarchy is enforced through violence, where a lot of head biting, neck biting, tugging, and really quite what you would describe if you saw two dogs having go at each other like that as an aggressive fight to the death sort of stuff. So, yeah, I would say that Gigi's suggestion, or Gigi's suggestion, that there are two hyena cubs is a good one. Do you agree?
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
I was reading recently. I mean, if I'm just judging on size, they all look pretty much the similar size. And all of their markings are already quite striking. So that tells me that they're, sub-adults or adults. And also, we're reading recently actually on them, because there's so little bit that we know about them, and we usually associate with them as being solitary, and we don't see them very often. Well, not solitary, but they forage alone, right? But they can occur in quite large groups. It's just that we don't get to see those large groups. So maybe three brown hyenas in the same group. But the thing that does tell me that this might actually be a mum and her young is that if that was in fact a dominance display, and it was just a couple that were associating, I don't think it would have been tolerated that well.
No. Yeah, I don't either. Okay, great. Andy, you say could that dark spot be scat? That dark spot could be anything from a smashed egg to scat to urine to water to anything. I'm afraid on that camera, I don't think it's scat. It might be urine, but I don't think it's poop. I think it was liquid. Okay, we've only got 1 minute left to look at our very favorite black eagle chick. There is the chick.
Oh.
Good grief! Look at that. 75 days old. Isn't that amazing? Made it through the winter. Made it through the worst of the winter. Oh, goodness gracious. This thing's going to fledge any second now. What a clever. Oh, wow.
It's amazing to imagine the type of growth, like accelerated growth, that has happened over the last 75 days. Like it started
really is. Helpless. When I think of how relatively useless my own offspring will be when she's 75 days old. I feel quite jealous of those black eagle parents. Their, their, their youngster's about to fledge, aged 75 days. Call it 100, it'll be gone. At 100 days, I'm told, I will know all about why it is I've waited so long to have children. Anyway, okay. Okay, everyone. That's going to be it from us for this Wild Moments. I really think you should keep watching that black eagle chick on the cameras because it's not long now before it flies off. Thank you to Trishala in Cape Town. She's now going to go and
Thank
put
you.
on a lot more clothes, in fact, probably all of her clothes, and stare out of the window and feel depressed. I'm going to look out of the window here, smell the flowers, and feel happy. Until next time, bye bye.
Bye.